Welcome back to my channel. Today we're counting down the top 5 most valuable Roosevelt dime coins that could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, from rare mint errors to high auction sales. These dimes might be hiding in your pocket. Right now, make sure you watch till the end to see which Roosevelt dime takes the #1 spot. First coin, the 1995 Roosevelt dime, with the large date small p, from the Philadelphia Mint, in what you'd call a circulated, dusty, scraped, everyday pocket change condition. A lot of people online have been saying things like, this could be worth $3,000, but the reality in today's auction market is a lot more grounded than that. So let's break it down clearly and honestly for anyone who has one of these in their collection or just found one in their change. The 1995 P. Roosevelt dime was struck in huge numbers. Over 1.1 billion coins were made at the Philadelphia Mint that year, so it's extremely common to find one in circulation because of that huge production. A worn, circulated coin that looks dusty and scratched, but still reads as a fine condition example generally only trades for about 10 to 40 cents over face value, maybe a little more if a collector wants it to complete a set, but nowhere near thousands of dollars. When we talk about coins being worth more than their face value, condition is everything. A circulated coin is one that has obvious wear from spending and handling over the decades in that state. The 1995 P dime is not rare. Collectors expect to find them all the time. You might see words like large date or small p, but there's no widely recognized, certified variety of the 1995 P dime that dramatically changes the value in ordinary worn condition. It's essentially the same coin hundreds of millions of collectors and banks handled. Most circulated 1995 dimes sell for their face value or maybe a few cents extra because there's no precious metal content and no real scarcity in worn grades. So where does talk of high prices come from? It comes from the top, pristine uncirculated examples that have been professionally graded by services like PCGS or NGC. When a coin is uncirculated and has strong strike quality, especially with the full band's designation on the reverse, it can attract collector interest. These coins are rare because they survived decades without wear, and that scarcity is what drives any real premium. For example, certified 1995 P. Roosevelt dimes graded MS 67 FB have sold around $500 at auction, and exceptionally high certified grades above that can reach into the low thousands in rare situations. But this is for coins that are perfect, nearly flawless, and slabbed by professional services. Even in that context, the verified auction records generally show values far below $3,000 for the Philadelphia strike. A typical MS 67 FB 1995 P has an auction record around the $500 range, and there are very few certified examples at grades higher than that available at auction. There's no widely documented sale of a 1995 P circulated coin in worn condition for $3,000. Now, coins that actually sell for thousands of dollars do exist, but they are extremely unusual error coins or rare collectible issues, and they are almost always older or involve a major mistake. A famous example outside of this date is a 1975 Roosevelt dime with a missing mint mark that sold for over $500,000 at auction. But that is one of only 2 known pieces with that error and not a typical 1995 circulation strike. So when you're looking at your dusty 1995 P. Roosevelt dime with a small p in fine or circulated condition, the honest answer is that its value today in the auction market is very close to face value, often just 10 cents to maybe 50 cents on a good day with a collector, and only under rare certified high-grade conditions does the value stretch into the higher hundreds or potentially a couple thousand at the extreme end. If you want to find out what your specific coin might be worth, the 2 keys are condition and certification. A worn coin you fished out of your change jar isn't going to bring thousands of dollars by itself. But if it looks incredibly sharp with no wear, that's the kind of piece that, once graded by a professional service, could be worth significantly more than face value either way. Check your coins, know what you have, and remember that the auction market reflects real collector demand and rarity, not just internet speculation. Next coin, the 1994 Roosevelt dime, with a small p mint mark from Philadelphia that some sellers and buyers say could be worth $3,400 in today's auction market, even if it's circulated, scratched, dusty, or in fine condition. If you've ever wondered whether a dime you found in your pocket change could pay for a vacation or a new gadget, this video is for you, because the real market tells a very different story from clickbait listings. The 1994 P. Roosevelt dime was one of over 1.1 billion coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint that year, which means it's extremely common in circulation, and in average worn condition, it's generally only worth about 15 to 35 cents to a collector, maybe up to around 50 cents in fine condition, simply because there are so many of them out there. When people talk about rare and valuable versions of modern dimes, they're almost always referring to top-graded uncirculated examples that have been professionally certified by companies like PCGS or NGC with designations like full bands, which means the bands on the torch on the reverse are fully separated and sharp. Those designations can add significant value only on coins that are well struck and uncirculated. For the 1994 P. Roosevelt dime, the auction record for a certified MS 68FB example is about $1,080, and even that was a superb gem uncirculated coin sold at Heritage Auctions in 2020. Even for the Denver minted version, the most expensive certified example known sold for around $1,680 in top grade, with full bands on the 1994 D. Roosevelt dime. Those values are impressive compared to face value, but they are not anywhere near $3,400 for a 1994 P circulated coin that's dusty, scratched, or showing wear. Coins that have been in circulation, meaning they've been spent, handled, and show obvious wear, don't carry the same premiums in real auction sales of circulated Roosevelt dimes. Even nice ones typically trade for small amounts above face value. So where does talk of a $3,400 coin come from? A number like that tends to show up in online listings where a seller might have slapped a high price tag on a coin hoping someone will pay it, or they're talking about an extremely high-end certified example that's unrelated to the worn coin you found in your change. There's no widely documented auction record showing a 1994 P. Roosevelt dime in circulated condition, scratched, dusty, or fine, selling for $3,400. Auction records focus on actual realized sales, not seller hopes, and the highest documented sales for this date are for top-graded collector's coins in pristine, uncirculated condition, not used circulation coins. Now, if you have something that looks unusual, like a rare error, a massive misprint, or a missing mint mark error, that can change the value dramatically. But that's not the normal case for a standard 1994 P dime. Some rare errors on Roosevelt dimes, like off-center strikes or clipped planchets, can bring tens to hundreds of dollars in certain situations. But those are error varieties that are documented separately and must be authenticated and graded even for those. The value depends on the degree of the error and collector demand. A worn coin without verified error or rare attribute generally stays close to its face value plus a tiny collector premium. So if you find a 1994 P. Roosevelt dime in everyday circulation, dusty, scratched, and showing wear, the realistic value in today's auction market is around 10 to 50 cents unless you have something truly unusual that needs expert grading. Sellers and internet listings that suggest values like $3,400 for a circulated 1994 P dime are not based on documented auction results and are often misleading. Always check live auction records and seek professional grading if you think you have something special. But for most people, this dime remains a cool piece of American coinage history, worth keeping as part of a collection, not a windfall. Next coin, the 2007 Roosevelt dime, with the small p mint mark from Philadelphia that's been in circulation and shows scratches, dust, and where if you've ever found a coin in a jar or a drawer and wondered whether it could be a hidden treasure, this story is a perfect example of why understanding real market prices matters so much. The 2007 P. Roosevelt dime is extremely common. According to mintage figures, about 391 million of them were struck at the Philadelphia Mint that year. That means these coins aren't rare in everyday circulation, and most people will find dozens just by spending or saving change in typical circulated grades, even coins with extra fine details, and some where are generally only worth close to face value, often just 10 cents to maybe a few dollars on a good day because there's simply so many of them, and there's no precious metal content. The reason some high prices get talked about online is because condition and certification make all the difference. Coins that are uncirculated and professionally graded by a service like PCGS or NGC, especially those with the full bands designation where the bands on the torch are sharply struck, can be worth much more than a worn dime from circulation. For example, a 2007 P. Roosevelt dime that was graded MS67FB sold at auction for around $325 a few years back. That's a nice price for a modern dime, but it's still far below $2,000, and that coin was a pristine, uncirculated coin with strong strike details. Not a worn, everyday piece in most price guides. A regular 2007 P dime in extra fine to uncirculated condition, without professional certification, typically trades for only a few dollars at most. There are some very rare coins in the world of U.S. dimes, like the famous 1894 S. Barber dime that has sold for well over $1 million, or error coins that can bring tens of thousands at auction. But those are historically rare and involve very unusual minting mistakes or tiny survival populations. When it comes to the regular business strike Roosevelt dimes from 2007, normal auction results are focused on modern collectors willing to pay premiums for coins in superb, certified condition, not for scratched and worn coins straight out of circulation. The highest real auction prices for this date are tied to these certified mint state pieces, and even then they're usually only in the low hundreds of dollars range. So if you're holding a 2007 Roosevelt dime with a small p that looks worn, scratched, dusty, or just like the change you've spent over the years, the honest answer from the auction market today is that it's worth close to its face value, maybe a few dollars to a collector if it's unusually nice for circulation, but not $2,000 in that condition. The $2,000 price tag you might see listed is most likely a seller placing a hopeful number on a listing or referring to a rare, high-grade, certified coin, not a worn, circulated piece that came out of your pocket. Always check actual auction results and certified grading sales if you want a true picture of what collectors are paying in real dollars. And remember that everyday circulating coins generally stay at modest value levels, unless there's some very unusual feature or exceptional condition to set them apart.
Next coin. The 2005 Irish 20 € coin, focusing on what it actually is, what affects its value, and the truth behind claims of high auction prices like $350,000, even though actual market values are much lower. I've written this as a flowing narration without headings, perfect for voiceover. Today we're going to talk about a coin that a lot of people mention online when discussing rare and valuable euro coins, the 2005 Ireland 20 €. You may have seen videos, listings, or posts claiming that certain euro cents are worth huge sums of money at auction, sometimes even numbers like $350,000, and you might be wondering if there's any truth to that. In this video we'll break down the history, the real collector market, and what you should actually expect if you have one of these coins. The Irish 20 € coin from 2005 was part of the regular euro circulation series produced by the Central Bank of Ireland. On the front side of this coin, what we call the obverse, you'll see the traditional Celtic harp, which is Ireland's national symbol and has appeared on Irish coins for centuries. Around the harp is the word Éire, which means Ireland in the native Irish language, and the date 2005 marking the year of minting. On the reverse side, like all normal euro cents, you find the common European map showing the denomination and symbolic unity of the European currency. This coin is made of an alloy widely called Nordic gold. It weighs about 5.74 grams and is roughly 22.25 millimeters in diameter. The edge has a distinctive Spanish flower shape with smooth surfaces separated by 7 indentations, which is the standard design for 20-euro-cent pieces across the Eurozone. Mintage data shows that Ireland produced around 40 million of these coins in 2005, which for Euro collectors is actually quite a significant number in circulation. While this is less than some other years, it still makes the 2005 20-cent a common issue rather than a truly rare one, especially when compared to coins that are worth serious money. Now let's talk about value. Coin value depends heavily on condition, rarity, and collector demand. For most coins that circulated as everyday money, the value stays modest unless there's some documented error or a very limited special strike. For the 2005 Irish 20-cent coin in standard circulated condition, most established coin catalogs and market listings show typical values that are well below $1 to just a few dollars at most, depending on where and how nice the coin looks. For example, circulated coins in fine condition generally sell for amounts like about 30 cents to 60 cents, and even uncirculated ones typically are valued in the low dollar range, often under $2. There are listings online where collectors or sellers might price these coins at higher amounts, even tens of dollars, but those are individual seller opinions and not reflective of widespread auction results. High prices only happen when something truly unusual is going on, like a major error in striking, a die variety that's been confirmed rare, or an extremely high-grade coin certified by a trusted grading service. For standard 2005 Irish 20-euro-cent coins, there is no widely documented record of any such coins selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars at reputable auctions. Most real market data keeps the pricing in the range you would expect for a common circulation coin. One reason why many collectors see videos or listings claiming massive values is because sensational content draws clicks and attention. On platforms like YouTube and online marketplaces, sellers sometimes post coins with astonishing price tags, but usually without evidence of actual sale history. Without verified auction results or sales records from credible numismatic auction houses, those prices should be taken with skepticism. The real auction market is transparent, and coins that sell for extreme prices typically have documentation and grading to justify them, and that isn't the case for the standard 2005 Irish 20-euro-cent. So what should you do if you think you have one of these coins? First, examine it closely. If the coin shows normal wear from circulation, scratches, dull surfaces, and flattened details, then its collector value is likely close to its face value. If it's in remarkably fine or extra fine condition, with clear details and minimal wear, it could be worth a bit more to a collector, but still typically in the low dollars, not huge sums. If you find something that looks exceptional or has unusual features like mint errors or striking flaws, the smart next step is to get it professionally graded by services such as PCGS or NGC. A high grade from these services can increase collector confidence and help you sell at a fair market price. In reality, euro cents from Ireland, especially standard issues like the 2005 20-cent, are relatively common in collector circles. They make nice additions to a set and are interesting historically, but they're not generally high-value rarity coins unless something truly out of the ordinary occurred in the minting process. Most collectors pay attention to low mintage issues in other denominations or coins with recognized errors when hunting for high-value pieces. The bottom line here is that while it's fun to imagine finding a coin worth hundreds of thousands of dollars in your pocket change, the actual value of a 2005 Irish 20-euro-cent coin in circulated fine condition remains modest according to current auction market data. It's still a collectible and can be a small but enjoyable part of your collection, but claims of $350,000 values are not supported by genuine market evidence.
Next coin, the 2004 Roosevelt dime with a small P mint mark, especially focusing on a circulated, scratched, dusty, fine condition coin. The idea that it could be worth $2,300 and what the actual auction market values in dollars really show today. Today we're going to dig into something a lot of people talk about online, especially when they're scrolling through coin videos and listings. The idea that a 2004 Roosevelt dime with a small P mint mark from the Philadelphia Mint, even in circulated, scratched, dusty, fine condition, could be worth something like $2,300. A lot of collectors and coin sellers throw around big numbers, and that can get people excited, especially if they've found a coin in their pocket change. So let's break this down and look at what the real auction market values in dollars actually show when you're dealing with a 2004 P. Roosevelt dime. The first thing to understand is that the 2004 P. Roosevelt dime is extremely common. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 1.3 billion of these coins in 2004. So there are millions of them out there in circulation, in pocket change, in coin jars, in collections, everywhere. Because of that huge production, most 2004 P. Roosevelt dimes that you find in everyday circulation are only worth about their face value of 10 cents, maybe a few cents or a couple dollars at most, depending on condition and demand. Most circulated coins that show wear and scratches are worth very close to face value, often only slightly above it to a collector, because they're abundant and not rare at all. When people talk about coins worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, they're almost always referring to certified, high-grade uncirculated examples that have been evaluated by professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC, and even then, those values come from specific auction results, not just hopeful price tags on seller listings. For the 2004 P dime, the auction record for a certified mint state example actually comes from a piece graded MS 61 that sold for about $1,380 back in 2011. That's a real auction result, where someone actually paid that amount, but it's a graded, uncirculated coin with strong strike quality, not a worn, circulated dime you found in everyday use. Outside of that one high-end certified coin, most market data from actual completed sales shows that circulated 2004 P. Roosevelt dimes, even ones that are extra fine or look nice for their wear, generally sell for between a few cents and a few dollars. When we look at recent completed sales, most circulated examples sell for change jar money, and even ungraded pieces in very good condition don't command high prices. Some uncirculated bankfresh coins that look great can bring a few dollars on sites like eBay, but these are still far below thousands of dollars. So where does an idea like $2,300 value come from? That number usually pops up when someone is listing a coin for sale at a high price, hoping that a buyer will pay that much, or when someone is confusing a very high-grade certified coin with an everyday circulated example. The reality is that there's no widely documented auction sale of a 2004 P. Roosevelt dime in circulated condition for anything like $2,300. That kind of figure simply isn't supported by real market transactions. Auction prices are public records, and when coins sell at auction, that price becomes part of the historical record. And for 2004 P dimes, that record shows high prices only for graded mint state examples, not worn, everyday coins. So if you've got a 2004 P. Roosevelt dime that's been in circulation, shows scratches and wear, looks a bit dusty, or even if it's extra fine compared to other used coins, the realistic value today in the auction market is close to face value, maybe a few dollars at most. That's the honest answer based on actual sales data and market behavior. Coins only reach very high prices, in the hundreds or more, when they're certified at top grades or have rare errors, and even then those are exceptions, not the norm. A 2004 P. Roosevelt dime is a cool piece of history. It's part of one of the longest-running coin series in U.S. history, and collectors do enjoy completing sets and seeking out nice examples, but everyday circulated dimes from modern years are common, and their value reflects that reality. If you think you have something special, like an error or a top-graded example, it's worth getting it professionally evaluated, but for most people, a 2004 P. Roosevelt dime found in change is more of a neat collectible than a ticket to thousands of dollars at auction.